8bitdo makes some of the best third-party controllers for the Nintendo Switch, and I use them for PC handhelds, and even the Steam Deck if I need an external controller. 8bitdo is the reason that my opinion on third-party controllers changed. I used to think that they were the little brother controller, the crummy controller that you pass off to a friend in the rare event you want to play couch co-op. Now, there are some third-party controllers that are just as good, if not better, than first-party controllers. And this new one is definitely one of them. This is the 8bitdo Pro 3, and it is my new go-to for specifically 2D games that require a lot of buttons. Like many companies in the gaming space, 8bitdo suffers from the hardware naming virus. The SN30 Pro is a great portable controller that they made. It looks like an SNES controller, but it adds thumbsticks and 4 shoulder buttons. It's a great modern take on the retro design, perfect for platformers, and adds thumbsticks in case you need them. Then you have the 8bitdo Pro Plus, or Pro 2, which is the exact same situation, but now you have grips, so it's a bit more comfortable. This new one that we're talking about today is the 8bitdo Pro 3. It's the exact same size and shape, but it adds a lot more features that we never knew that we needed. And that's what makes this probably the best controller ever, maybe, depending on what you're trying to play and what your preferences are. Some people don't like having 2 thumbsticks on the bottom. We call that the PlayStation style. I get that. I much prefer the offset Xbox style for 3D games. But I'm not always playing 3D games that require both thumbsticks. Playing a D-pad-centric 2D game with an Xbox-style controller sucks. I don't want my thumb to have to reach all the way down there for the D-pad. Playing a 3D game on a PlayStation-style controller is fine. It's manageable. That's why I think this is one of, if not the best, all-around controller. For me, there are minimal compromises between the game types. And I've been ignoring one of the best features, magnetic swappable face buttons that you can't just pry off with your fingers. I wish you could. I've been using this way more than I was expecting to swap back and forth between the Nintendo style layout and the Xbox style layout when I'm playing games on my PC. I don't really ever look down on my controller. Switching between Xbox and Nintendo layouts never really bothered me in the past, but now, in my old age, it actually for real bothers me swapping back and forth. My brain kind of breaks. So swapping the buttons, depending on what I'm playing, is a huge bonus. In the box, there's actually a decent amount of stuff this thing comes with. There's a dock, which is really cool, and inside of that dock are some extra unlabeled face buttons and a tool that you'll use to remove the face buttons. There's also these 2 ridiculous thumbsticks. They actually don't feel terrible, but there's like never a use case for these. It's purely a novelty to make it look more like an arcade joystick. It's a fun little addition that serves no real practical purpose. Some Pro controllers come with thumbsticks that are different heights or have different convex or concave shapes on the top. You know, customizable thumbsticks that serve a practical purpose. This controller doesn't do that. I personally think that the thumbsticks are just fine. Sometimes you can't always have a controller with you. I hate using the Switch 2 in handheld mode because my fingers just don't sit right on the thumbsticks. What are you doing? One way to fix this is by using a grip like the Zen Grip 2 from this video's sponsor, Satisfye. No more cramping up during long play sessions. No, pick it up. Pick it up!
What? Oh.
Hold it in your hand, thank you.
I'm supposed to pick it up.
Yeah, of course. Oh, some people, man.
The asymmetric design corrects your hand placement for better controls. It's perfectly dockable, too, even with a screen protector on. No bulging or rubbing from the dock. And you can still access those dock USB ports. No need to take that grip off at all. Rubberized grips for your hands, free-floating design to protect the Switch 2. It stands up on its own, and it still has access to the kickstand and both USB-C ports. The Zen Grip 2 and Slim Bundle are available right now at Satisfye.com, and use code WolfDen to get 10% off of this one and even the Beat 'em Ups one. So the dock is another one of my favorite features. I'm glad this thing came with it. Am I doing this wrong? No. It's a great little home for the controller so that it can charge itself. But that's not why I like it. I like it because inside of the dock is a 2.4 gigahertz dongle. So This controller can be used wired or wirelessly. It has both Bluetooth and 2.4 gigahertz wireless. So you can just connect it to your system via Bluetooth, but I like to use this 2.4 gigahertz dongle because it's a faster connection and it's just way easier to connect wirelessly. So you can either plug the dongle straight into your device via its USB-C connection, or you can leave the dongle in the dock and plug the dock into your device. Now the whole dock is your wireless dongle. This is how I use it pretty much exclusively. Removing the magnetic buttons took me a long time to figure out. You can't really just pry them off with your fingers. There's this suction cup tool on the inside of the dock that you can use to suck them off. Pry them off. You stick it on and pry them off. I kind of wish there was a place inside of the controller for a tool like this so that you could always have it with you, but having it in the dock is fine too, I guess. Ergonomically, the Pro 2 and the Pro 3 are virtually identical. They both feel great in the hands. The face buttons also feel pretty much the same. The triggers now have a 2-stage toggle, so they can either register as analog triggers or a clicky hair trigger. And the clicks are like really clicky. It's awesome. They feel like two completely different buttons. There's also 2 extra buttons next to the shoulder buttons as well as back paddles. So there's 4 additional buttons total. These are all mappable with their ultimate software on the computer, which you can also use to adjust trigger and stick sensitivity, remap buttons, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I don't really mess with the ultimate software. I don't really need anything to be different than the default, and I don't really mess with the 4 additional buttons. I don't have anything that I like to map to those. This D-pad is a lot of the reason why I love this controller. It feels new and improved. It has a bit more click to it. This will hopefully lead to less misinputs in diagonal movement. The D-pad was already the star of the show on these controllers because of where it's placed and how it feels, but they somehow managed to improve even on that. There are 3 different colorways: a PlayStation looking one, a GameCube looking one, and a Game Boy looking one. I favor the Game Boy looking one because I like the Game Boy, but also because the D-pad has a different texture. It has all these lines on it. I think it feels the best of all of the colorways. I think the GameCube one is probably the most popular because it's indigo, so it's got a color to it and everyone likes the GameCube. But it's missing the yellow, unless you put the joysticks on, and we're not going to do that. These controllers are some of my most used controllers for the Switch 1. You can tell by how gunky and gross my Pro 2 is. This is actually my second Pro 2. I used the first one so much that it just died on me. So I see myself using this one a lot in the future too. I see myself picking this one up for a lot of games. I have a lot of controllers just because of the nature of having a channel like this, and I end up picking up a controller based on what game that I want to play. For a game like Call of Duty, I'm using an Elite controller. For a game like Donkey Kong Bonanza, I'm using the Switch 2 Pro controller. These are both 3D games that require heavy use of the analog sticks. For 2D games that require use of a lot of buttons, that's when I reach for this controller. For a game where like the D-pad is the focus, but you still need shoulder buttons, for example, that's when this controller shines. Now, I have talked extensively about how I like using all button fight pads for 2D games, and this is still true. Having a keyboard-like controller for directional movements is kind of the best way to fight off misinputs. It's the best way to make sure that every press is deliberate. But I don't like using a controller like that if the game requires too many buttons. Then it gets really complicated trying to remember which button does what. Sometimes you need to hold down the shoulder buttons as like a modifier to press another button, and that could be complicated with an all-button controller. So for Metroid Dread or the new Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, this controller's the one. I'm sure the new Hollow Knight that comes out next week will be the same situation. And that's not to say that this controller will be bad for 3D games. I understand most people aren't going to want different controllers for different scenarios. Most people are going to want one controller that can do everything. This is a $70 controller. So it's not exactly cheap. Some people are going to be choosing between this and the official Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller, and I understand that. If you do play a lot of 2D games, but you still want something for 3D stuff, this is still a good controller for that. 8bitdo also makes the Ultimate controller, which has the Xbox style offset thumbsticks and a very similar D-pad to this one. But I just don't like where the D-pad is positioned for 2D games. So if I had to pick one controller for everything, it would probably be this new Pro 3. 8bitdo has a lot of controllers, and they recently released firmware updates for a bunch of them to get them to work with the Nintendo Switch 2. This controller does not need that firmware update. It comes right out of the box, fully functional for the Switch 2.
The easiest way to get this to connect is to hardwire it and then just unplug it. There you go.
I would suggest having the Bluetooth connection connected to your Switch and the 2.4 gigahertz dongle that's in the dock connected to your PC or other device. That way, you can just switch back and forth between the two devices that you might have.
To get it to work through Bluetooth on PC, it needs to be in the D input mode and not the switch mode. And then you hold the pair button, and then it pairs, and you're fine. You're good.
I think people will be very happy to know that these thumbsticks are TMR thumbsticks. They're not Hall effect, but it's like the new Hall effect. It's like the new thumbstick fad everyone's going nuts about. If you're interested in what the difference is or why even people care about Hall effect and TMR, I have a video all about Hall effect over here you can look at. And I go into TMR a little bit in that, I think. But these TMR sticks will prevent against stick drift even more than Hall effect sticks do, in theory. They should also be way more accurate, which is cool. But we're getting to the law of diminishing returns here. Hall effect would have been just fine too. I'm not even using this thing for the thumbsticks. It's just a nice little bonus. I did have one major issue with this controller, and it was that it just completely disconnected on me in the middle of a boss fight.
Wow, where'd you come from? Oh god, I'm getting wrecked. My controller disconnected! My controller disconnected! What was that?
And that happening one time in an isolated incident really doesn't bother me that much at all. It's not a big deal. But I have heard of 8bitdo controllers randomly disconnecting like that, particularly when playing on PC and particularly when playing using that 2.4 gigahertz dongle.
This is ridiculous. Oh, wait. My controller died. My controller died, dude. My controller died! God damn it, my controller died! Ah, 8bitdo, bro! It just disconnected. It didn't even freaking die. It disconnected. It has full freaking battery. Perfect for you, but terrible for me.
I don't know why this is something that happens, but I'm disappointed that they haven't gotten to the bottom of this and it's still happening even on this new controller, as far as I can tell. But I don't want to knock too many points off because it only happened to me one time while I was using it. I guess I'm just going to have to keep using it and monitor it and see how bad that issue can get and see if anybody else has similar issues. I really don't want to have to feel obligated to play with this thing wired while I'm doing any serious gameplay. I don't think that's enough to not recommend this controller unless I see it happening more widespread and I notice it happening more to more people. Because there are other ways to connect this controller. You can do wired or Bluetooth. The 2.4 gigahertz is my favorite, but I guess we're making compromises. I think for $70, this Pro 3 has some of the best quality of life features out of any controller and has the build quality of a first-party controller. I'm sure I'll be beating the hell out of this thing for the next few years. I even left out this thing has motion controls. I always forget about that with these. It also has rumble. Who cares about the rumble? Actually, honestly, I never noticed this when I'm testing controllers. I never care about the rumble unless it's really bad. I actually felt like it was pretty good on here. It was like harsh, but you didn't hear it at all. Anyway, I could be talking about this forever. What do you think about the 8bitdo Pro 3 or any of the third-party controllers that are out there that might be better than this one? Maybe I'm wrong. Leave it in the comments below. At me on Twitter and any and all this other social media garbage. I'll be over on twitch.tv/wolfden, probably playing more Ninja Gaiden and maybe playing some Hollow Knight when that comes out soon. Come to a live stream sometime and talk to me there. That's the easiest way to talk to me. There's Amazon affiliate links in the description for this if you're interested in this. Of course, 8bitdo is not sponsoring or anything. I don't think they've ever sponsored anybody. It's also pronounced 8bitdo. Here's my email correspondence with them. The most important thing you could do to support this channel is subscribe right here and share this video with a friend who just got a Nintendo Switch 2 and needs an extra controller. Maybe they can weigh their options between the Pro controller or this one. Thank you very much. Have yourself a very good